Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday. I attempted to, I don't know if you see over here. I attempted to add these two chat boxes here. Also, let me know if my mic sounds weird. Do I sound like a chipmunk? But the chat is not showing up. This is supposed to be Twitch chat. And I see, hey, Nep. Nep said hello. And it is not appearing here, which is super annoying. So, that's all right. I'll figure it out. If someone is over on YouTube, looks like no one's joined quite yet on YouTube, but if someone wants to go on YouTube and chat on YouTube, I guess I can say something. Hello? Did that show up? No. Womp womp. Oh, that's annoying. Cool. Well, I'm going to leave those boxes up. Oh, hello. Okay. It's just very delayed. Hey. Yay. Oh, that's so exciting. Yoo-hoo. Okay. Oh, wow. I'm such a professional streamer now. Holy moly. Okay. Hey, Louie and Morgan. Yahoo! Okay, is that really tiny though? Can you read that? Or is that super, super small? I can make it bigger. Can you read that, chat? Or is that teeny tiny? It looks teeny tiny to me. Let me see if I watch it. It is tiny. Okay, let's make that bigger. Okay, bear with me. We're going to fix this in real time right now. Yeah, why is that so small? Maybe text settings. That's what we want. Okay, maybe I won't resize it, but I'll leave the window. Okay, I'll leave the window thing the same size. Okay, we can do this. I just need to put it back to what it was because I just changed it. Was it 298? Okay, so I'm going to make the text larger. Text size. Why is the default so tiny? Like, how is that helpful to anyone? Okay. Ooh, that's looking better. Okay, size 18. Okay, I'm going to update it. How does that look? Oh. Might just need a minute to think. Chat has disappeared. Cool. I can still see it in my preview screen. I think it just might need a second to refresh. So I fixed the Twitch. Well, I believe I fixed the Twitch. Now I'm going to go into my YouTube account, my Stream Elements YouTube account, and fix that. Oh, this is very exciting, isn't it? Okay, and I'm going to make that text bigger. Oh, it's tiny. Hey. There are quite a few Louis and Lewises, and I never know if it's Louis or Lewis. So I'm just going to say tiny. Okay. So we're going to go to... I guess I can show you what I'm doing. It's kind of interesting. Okay, so this is Stream Elements. And then I go overlay. And because I'm signed into my YouTube account, I can do the YouTube chat. And then I have a separate account for my Twitch. So this is look how teeny tiny that is. Okay, so I'm clicking on that. I'm going text settings. And then we're going to make the size 18 for the text. Okay. Oh, it looks like the text is showing up on the screen, I think. Okay, wait. Let's go back. Oh, it's like, now they're not positioned correctly. Did I move the Twitch one? Okay. Yay. Okay. So I'm going to leave that like that. I'm going to take a picture of this. Okay, so size 18, that still looks kind of small. Is that text still small to you? Oh, you're also silent S. Okay, I think all the Louis are Louis silent S, so that makes it easy. Hey, Croft is lurking. Okay, I'm gonna make this slightly bigger because I feel like that's still kind of small. 19, 20, 21, 22. Okay, we're gonna do 22. And then gonna make sure that they're lined up one on top of the other. Because I couldn't figure out a way to have them show up together in one chat. So I just have the YouTube chat and the Twitch chat separately, which is fine. Okay, so let's go back to... Now I'm switching over to my Twitch account. And now I'm going to go into the overlays. Here, thank you for bearing with me for this, because this will be pretty fun if I can figure this out. Okay, so for some reason, this is way over here now. So this needs to be 1575. Okay. How does that look now? Okay, I'm just going to look at my screen. Okay, so the chats disappear every time I do save. Okay, well, that is very exciting. Yeah, they're still there. They disappear every time I save it. So it's just going to refresh. Cool. How are y'all doing out there? I play tested last night. Yeah, so tonight I don't have the mental capacity to play a game, especially an escape room game. So I thought we would just chat and hang out, and probably just for like max 2 hours, maybe less. I did not sleep super well last night, so yeah, I don't have the energy for a super long stream. And I thought we would just chat. So part of why I didn't sleep well last night is that I had a play test, and it went very late. I think I left there at like 11:30 at night. And, as I'm sure most of you feel after play tests, I had a lot of thoughts going on in my head afterwards, and I find it very difficult to sleep after a play test. But yeah, it was good. I went to a meetup for a group. I've never been there before. I didn't know anyone, and so that can always be a little bit scary. But they were super, super nice. Everyone there was so nice. Oh, that still looks really small to me. Maybe my screen is just really small. Let me do full screen and see. Yeah, quick, somebody say something. It still looks fuzzy, but I feel like the resolution of my screen is just fuzzy in OBS, and I haven't figured out why. But I think that looks okay. How do we feel about the size of the font of the chat there? Okay, I'm going to put something in YouTube chat. Hi! And then we'll see how that looks. I guess I'll just make my window bigger in OBS so I can actually read what you're saying. But it'll be nice to have everything together, and I won't have to like constantly be looking back and forth on the second monitor. Okay, I'm just trying to make this window bigger so I can actually see. Cool! Oh, that's very exciting. And I think they're lined up. Yeah. Yeah. Woo! Okay. But yeah, so I went to a designer meetup. I didn't know anyone. I'd never been there before. Never been to that cafe before. Hey, Mike, how you doing? Nice to see you. But yeah, they were super, super nice. And so I play tested another designer's game, and it was a very involved game. There was a lot going on, and I just felt like I was really concentrating. And so I feel like I was like clenching my jaw or something. My jaw was so sore at the end of the night. I was just focusing so hard because there was just so much going on. So that didn't help. I just had like a really bad headache after the end of this playtest. So like we playtested from 7 p.m. until like 11:30, and that was a lot. So, but everyone was super, super nice. This game, yeah, there was a lot going on, a lot to concentrate on and think about. And then we played these two designers, they co-designed a really cool game together. And it was kind of like a twist on cribbage, and I really like crib, and that was very cool, very, very cool. Both games were very, very cool, very different. And so unfortunately though, we didn't have time to playtest my game, but I was able to set it out, and we talked about it, which is helpful. It would have been ideal if someone could have actually played it, but it was still really nice that they, I talked about it with them, and they all gave helpful feedback, and overall they seemed to like the concept. So this is the game that I did that designer diary sort of POV video about, where I'm going to take you along designing this game. And so I actually recorded another video yesterday talking about the updates that I made to this game. So this is the game about Maud and Stephen, these cousins fighting over the throne in England and Normandy in the 1100s. And so, yeah, overall, they liked the concept. And so I won't go into too much because I talk a lot about it in this update video that I'm going to post tomorrow on tomorrow for members and then Sunday for everyone else. But yeah, there was especially one really good suggestion though that I'm really excited to try. It'll be a very easy thing to try, and I think it will really help increase the tension a bit in the game, which was a little bit lacking. Yeah, it was a concentration headache. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I guess I was thinking really, really hard. I feel like I still feel it today. It's weird. I don't like it. Hydrate. Yeah, good call. Gotta stay hydrated. Magnesium, but not too much. Okay. No, I think you're right with the water. I don't think I had enough water yesterday or today. Oh, I'm glad you're interested in this game design, Mike. Thanks so much. Oh, I forgot to update the size of Twitch. Twitch looks teeny tiny. Because Tiny's over there, so the font is tiny for tiny. Is optimizing setup much of a consideration when designing a game? That's a great question. I'm going to answer that before I make your font not so tiny. Yes. Having a streamlined setup is definitely something I am aware of and I think about when I'm designing a game. Because you want if the setup is so cumbersome that it is a barrier to people actually playing the game, that can be a huge deterrent. And especially also if you're pitching the game and you send it to a publisher and it takes them forever to set up. So I'm not saying that I've mastered this. I have definitely made games where there's a lot of setup. I'll be the first to admit that. But it is something I try to be aware of and I'm trying to get better at, because having a straightforward setup, I think is a good thing for pitching, making it easier to pitch the game. Also, just the reach of the game, like the amount of people that could enjoy it. Of course, you are going to have games that are heavier, and I do think with heavier games, there's a more of an expectation that there's going to be a more involved setup. And so I think that's okay. But if it's the amount of setup should be kind of reflective of the weight of the game. So if it is a heavier game, I'm going to expect there to be a fairly considerable setup, and that's okay. I'm prepared for that. But if it's a lighter game, there should definitely be as minimal setup as possible. So I do think it is connected to the weight of the game, but in general, if you can make the setup as streamlined as possible, even for heavier games, that is definitely something to think about. Of course, when you're designing a game, you just want to design the game as best as possible, and then you can kind of streamline those things and the setup. Have them in the back of your mind the whole time, but you don't really need to worry about that too much in the early stages of designing a game. At that point, you're really just trying to make the best game possible. But then as you're streamlining things towards the end and the middle of it, I do think thinking about the setup during those phases is a really good idea, for sure. Okay, let me fix the teeny tiny font for Twitch here. So it was 22, right? So I'm going to go Up, 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 up. Okay, so it looks like when I save it, it refreshes and then, yeah, so that chat's going to go away until someone says something new. I'm loving this chat on the screen, so I have to constantly look over at my second screen. This is very exciting. Reasons for using mod instead of mod. Yes. Mod with an E instead of mod without the E. Great question. So do you know about this period of history, Mike? I hadn't heard about this at all until I started reading the book, When Christ and His Saints Slept. And in that book, she's referred to as Maud with an E, which is confusing because she's referred to in general mostly as Matilda. But at that time, there's a million Matildas, there's a million Henrys, there's a million Johns. And so, like, Stephen's wife's name is Matilda, and then Maud's name is Matilda. So the author of When Christ and His Saints Slept, she made the decision to have the main character, well, the main person, real person of the book, referred to her as Maud, which is a nickname derived from Matilda. And her reasoning is that Matilda, Maud, would have mostly more been called Maud than Matilda in real life. I haven't double checked that. I just read that on her blog when she explained why she uses Maud instead of Matilda. But as far as adding the E at the end, I have not found an explanation of why she has the E at the end. It's interesting because in the book she has a niece who's also named Maud with no E. But if you look up on Wikipedia, Empress Matilda, she's known as Empress Matilda or Maud, no E. So it's a bit confusing. So basically, I'm just going off of this book primarily, where it's Maud. Oh, thanks, Louis. Something new. Appreciate it. Yes. Okay. I think she was called Matilda more once Empress. Right. So I think she was known more familiarly as Maud, but then formally as Matilda. So that's why the author chose Maud. But as far as adding the E at the end, it is confusing. But then so I was just going off of what she wrote in the book. And so I just thought Maud was a cool name for the board game. But as when I looked it up, online, I kept seeing Matilda. I'm like, who's this Matilda? And then I realized it was also Maud. And then I'm like, why is there an E at the end? I don't know. So I could change the name of the game to Matilda. But, that might be slightly confusing. People may hear that and think of the movie from the 90s. I don't know. But, yeah. Or Empress or something like that. Because I feel just like you asked that question, I feel like a lot of people would ask the question of why is it called Maud and not Matilda, and then it would just open up a whole can of worms of confusion. And so I am considering changing the name. Yeah. I also originally thought calling it Anarchy, and now that I know about the Anarchy, I'm not going to call it that. A little bit about the Anarchy. Yeah. Yeah, I first learned about this period of time from the book Pillars of the Earth, which is very kind of loosely historical fiction. I think the author took a lot of liberties, but it focuses more on the struggle of the actual the people that had to deal with this turmoil that these rich people were fighting over, and so they had mentioned in that book Stephen and Maud or Matilda. I think she is referred to as Maud in Pillars of the Earth as well. Fighting over the crown. And so I started looking more into that. And I was just looking for more historical fiction books in general. And this one got suggested. And so I started reading it and really digging the story. And then as most board game designers do, was I should make a board game out of this. Might be easier to say you're specifically adapting the book rather than making a historical game. Yes, that is, yeah. That might be an interesting way to go about it. Yeah. I don't know what's easier. If it's easier to say that, or if it's easier just to change it to Matilda, or the Empress, or I don't know. But that's a good idea. Hey, Ball Guys here. Nice to see you. If you include a historical note in the rulebook, that will help. The publisher might have a preference for Matilda, Maud, or whether to include Empress in the title. But if you self-publish, that will be your decision. Yes, that is true. That is true. That's always in the back of my mind of I could self-publish like one of these games. I could. With a game this complicated and there would be a lot of art and stuff, I don't think I would self-publish. But there are some party games that I'm thinking about that would be a lot easier to self-publish. So I have been thinking about that. This reminds me of reading Crime and Punishment, where characters often use nicknames and names interchangeably. I think that's less effective marketing-wise unless the book was really successful. Yeah, I think that's a good point. Because I tried to find this author, Sharon K. Penman. I tried to find more of her books, or even this book, at my local like large book retailer. And the person working there had no idea what I was talking about. And so she looked it up in her system, and they had literally none of Sharon K. Penman's books in the entire store. And as far as I can see on like Reddit and stuff, she is in the historical fiction world. She's very popular. But I don't think in mainstream she's very well known. I am absolutely loving this book, though. I am really enjoying it, and I know that she has many books, many books, that she's a very prolific author after this in like chronological order. So I am stoked. I feel like I am set up for my reading list for the next like 10 years. Because I'm also still reading the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So I got a long queue set up for me for a while. Russians are definitely deep into many names for the same person. Yeah. I guess it could also stir up, it could just stir up conversation. Why is this game called Maud? Why isn't it called Matilda? So I guess it could get people talking about it. But if people are confused or annoyed, then that's not good. I don't know. Calling it an adaptation over historical. Yeah, I agree. But maybe I'll just share with you, chat, the suggestion that was made last night that I'm excited about. Currently, I am saying that when Maud has 4 of her soldiers in a city and Stephen has fewer than that, she secures it by putting a banner at that city. Now, no more of Stephen's soldiers can be added to that city. It's kind of like eradicating the virus in pandemic. Like, you just don't add soldiers to that city if that card comes up. And someone last night suggested, well, what if you also have banners for Stephen, and which I did have at one point, but this designer's suggestion was bring the banners back for Stephen as well, but he can secure cities too. So if there are at least 4 of Stephen's soldiers in a city, and Maud has fewer than that, it's secured for Stephen. And so that is what I'm very excited to try. And then you like instantly lose the game if Stephen secures 4 of the 7 cities. That is what I'm going to try, because there wasn't really that tension of like, oh, there's 3 of Stephen's soldiers over there, we need to deal with that. Like there wasn't that tension. So I'm excited to try that. Very, very excited to try that. I will also tell you that I do know of a publisher looking for like women in history, like board games featuring women in history, but they say with an action or fantasy twist. So I don't know if this game has enough action for them, but one thought about the fantasy twist is, and this idea came up last night in our discussion, was the idea of a double-sided map. Right now I just have the one standard map, but the idea of having a different map on the other side came up, and that made me think, ooh, maybe the other side could be fantasy. So it's like Maud versus Steven, but like if this wasn't a fantasy world with dragons and magic and whatever. That's what I'm thinking about, but that would be a big change. That would make like kind of 2 games in 1 sort of thing. But that is something I'm thinking about because I do know there is a publisher looking for that specifically. But before I go down that road, I think I would send this idea to the publisher and be like, what think about this of just like, straight historical board game? Or do you like this, but you would prefer it to have the fantasy twist? See what they say and then go from there before I jump too deep into that. Yeah, what does action mean in this context, really? Yes, that is a great question. I don't know what they mean by that. They say, I think the exact line was, badass women in history with an action or fantasy twist. That's all the information they gave. I don't know what that means. Action. I don't know. In my game, you're defeating soldiers. You're essentially battling soldiers. Is that action? I don't know. Yeah, it would be cool to get if there was a bit more information about that and context. I don't know. Hey, Curve Cat, how you doing? Nice to see you. Modern unicorns versus Steven and dragons. Exactly. I'm a little hesitant to do that as well. Just like, I think it could be cool visually and you could have a lot of fun with magic and stuff in a board game, but I'm a little hesitant to do that because I don't want it to have like the insinuation that Maud would need magic and dragons to defeat Steven. Like, I kind of want her to just do it on her own without that. But I think I might be overthinking it a little bit. That wouldn't be the first time. Fort Circle published Votes for Women and are releasing Night Witches, Russian World War II fighter pilots later this year. Fort Circle. Let's look them up together. Fort Circle, eh? Never heard of them. Fort Circle games. I have heard of Votes for Women, but I have not heard of Fort Circle. Okay, let's look at this together. So creating fun, easy to learn historical board games. Okay, I should probably know about these people. Thank you for letting me know. Oh my goodness. Okay. Writing this down. I've definitely heard of Votes for Women, but I did not look closely to see who published it. Fort Circle games. Historical board games. Now let's see if they also have a game about the anarchy, because with my luck, they probably do. The Halls of Montezuma, The Shores of Tripoli, Hunt for Blackbeard, Shakespeare's First Folio, First Monday in October. Okay, and there's the next one that you mentioned, Night Witches. Cool. What's their deal? What's their deal about? What stage is this? Fort Circle was founded in 2017 to develop and publish beautiful board games that are grounded in historical events. Fort Circle games are designed to be approachable and easy to learn for novice gamers and students, but also challenging enough to encourage repeat play by veteran gamers. Fort Circle is proudly based in Washington, D.C., and is named after the network of fortifications that defended the city during the Civil War. Aha! Cool! Well, thank you for letting me know about who's on this team. Thanks for letting me know about this publisher. I did not know about them until this very moment, so that was very helpful. I'm going to add them to my list for potential publishers to try to connect with. Cool. Yeah, that's very exciting. So yeah, I wanted to mention that. Thanks so much for your thoughts on that one. I still need to edit and upload the video, but it should go up tomorrow as early as possible for members. I might even just do it tonight. I don't know. And not worry about it tomorrow. We'll see. But I go into a lot of the specifics of the changes that I made and why and stuff. And I'm going to tell you, chat, tonight, that I resisted changing the action selection to be more like Arc Nova because I didn't want it to be so similar to Arc Nova. But someone in the comments was like, moving the cubes up and down might be a little finicky. Why not, just make it like Arc Nova? And I was like, yeah. So I looked more into it about how exactly it works because I haven't played Arc Nova. I just watched some more videos. And so I did change it so it is just moving cards down a queue, and then once it's used, it goes to the front of the queue. And I got rid of the cubes. And yes, well, I still have the cubes, actually. I still have the cubes. You just have 2 cubes now. You don't have 5. And you just put them on the action cards that you use. You do that thing at that level, and then those cards go to the back. The 2 action cubes go back up. In that sense, it is slightly different. You also can then buy upgradable cards to swap them out. So it is more similar to Arc Nova, but to be like, it does make things a lot easier to remember, less fiddly. So yeah, I think there's enough of other kind of different things going on in the game that it's fine to be inspired by a system that works very well in Arc Nova. So yeah, I tried that yesterday. It worked really well. So I'm going to keep going with that now and see how that goes. And from what you heard, Kevin Bertram is a great publisher to work with. Oh, that's good to know. That's always very helpful to know that they're actually good to work with. That is important for sure. Now, that's really good to know about them. Definitely. What were the other things I said we were going to talk about tonight? Said playtesting last night. Oh yeah, FallCon. So yeah, I am in Calgary right now, and I'll be in Calgary for another couple weeks. So I will be going to FallCon, which is the big board game convention here in Calgary. And I grew up in Calgary. I was born in Calgary, but I hadn't really heard about this convention until a couple years ago. But apparently it's been going on for 30 years, which is very, very cool. And so it'll be my first time going. Let me show you. So yeah, if you're there and you see me, please say hello. I am mainly going to be playing games. Interestingly enough, last night at the playtest, someone who was there works with Roxley Games, who did Brass Birmingham, Santorini, Dice Throne. And so he said that he would like to play my game at FallCon, which is very exciting, and then possibly show it to other people at Roxley potentially. So that is very exciting. We'll see if anything happens with that. So I mainly am going to just play games, but also apparently I might pitch a little bit. Always be ready, they say, right? Always be ready. Hey Justin, do you only do solo developing aside from playtesting with others? Yeah, I am primarily, yes, a solo game designer. For my game Chronicles of Light, when I worked with Ravensburger, they had an in-house developer, Shannon Lyon, also Mike Mulvihill, who I worked with, but mostly with Shannon. And so for that game, that definitely did not feel like a solo endeavor because I got the feedback and the input from developers at Ravensburger and also feedback from Disney. And so there were a lot of cooks in the kitchen for that one. But in general, yeah, I design solo. For my digital games, Letter Flip just came out. I do have a development partner, but she primarily does the programming and the coding, and then I do the design of the games. But we do talk about the design, but I'm mainly the designer. She's the developer. So, but yeah, in general, I like to design on my own. It's just easier. You don't have to coordinate schedules. You don't have to coordinate or deal with or manage different personalities or expectations or roles or whatever. I have tried co-designing before. That was an epic fail. It did not work well. The other person did not do anything. So that wasn't a great experience for me, but I would possibly be open to co-designing in the future. I don't know. I'm not dying to do it because I'm especially not dying to get 2.5% royalty instead of 5. I don't know. It's not really something I know I can get more games out in the world if I co-design more than solo, but I don't know. It just seems like a lot of work and a lot of meetings. And I don't know. I know some people have really successful co-designer relationships like Jay Cormier and Senfung Lim, who have done a lot of games together. They work very, very well together. And I know they get a lot more done working together. So if I found someone that I clicked with very well like that, and it helped with accountability and it helped with idea generation and it helped with, like, if it made things faster and better, I would be open to that. Personally, right now I do prefer just doing it on my own. That's where we're at right now. Okay, one thing about having the chat on the screen is I can't scroll up if I jibber jabber too much, and then I can't see all the comments. So let me go over here. But yeah, how about you all? Do you all mainly design on your own, or do you co-design? Which one do you prefer? Curvecat says, I never heard of FallCon. Interesting. Calgary's a nice city, close to Banff. Yes, Calgary. Calgary's all right. It's getting better for sure. Growing up here, it's a lovely city. But it is, in the last few years, it's gotten a lot more interesting, like cooler, like museums and libraries and restaurants, and just like a lot. It's getting a lot hipper, a lot more going on. But yes, it is close to Banff, and Banff is absolutely beautiful. The whole Rocky Mountains area is gorgeous. So I did not take advantage of that enough when I lived here. I'll tell you that. I would go into Banff just to like go to the bars and stuff and not actually enjoy the nature when I was, in my early 20s. But yeah, come out to FallCon and go to Banff before or after the convention. That sounds like a wonderful vacation. I'll show you the FallCon website while I'm chit-chatting here. Here's FallCon. So you have something to look at. Co-designing is really hard, so I completely understand. Yeah, Justin, I agree. It can be, if it adds more work when we're already doing so much work to design these games, and then also day jobs or other responsibilities, and then you also have to coordinate meeting with your co-designer, making sure they actually do what they say they're going to do, might have conflicts of the direction that you want to take the game, and yeah, I don't know. Like, I know it can be a good thing for sure. I do know it's possible. Like working with Shannon, she brought out a lot of she made the game shine. She brought out a lot of great things in my design. She encouraged me to cut things that weren't working. And I think she really helped make the game better. So that kind of, made me feel more hopeful about co-designing being possibly working. That one did work though, I think, because our roles were defined. She's the developer, I'm the designer, and so I think that helped navigate our relationship. At the end of the day, she's with the publisher. She kind of decides we can't do that because of XYZ or whatever. So, but if you're just two co-designers and you don't have that conversation for expectations, or you don't have a slight hierarchy, I think that's pretty tough. But if you have a conversation of okay, for this game, I'm going to take the lead, you're going to be more support, and you both be okay with that, I think that would be a lot easier to navigate than both trying to steer the wheel. But yeah, I haven't co-designed a ton, so I'm basing it off of a few experiences. So if other people have co-designed more, feel free to chime in about your experiences with it. For Chronicles of Light, do you wish you had final proof on the rules before release? Is that something you can work into a contract? Do you wish you had final proof on the rules? I did have final proof of the rules. If I'm understanding your question correctly, you mean like, was I able to look over the rules before it got printed? Yes, I did. I was surprised to see that they didn't have a dedicated person write or review the rules. It was basically just me and Shannon trying to make them as clear as possible, but there's always a space constraint. There's always, things are never exactly how you want them to be. The publisher's going to decide what images to have, what not to have, how, the order of things and whatever. So I gave as much suggestions as I possibly could. At the end of the day, they made the final call of how the rules are laid out and how they're the final version of it. But yes, they did send it to me to review, and I went over it many, many times, trying to make it as clear as possible. But I do wish that they had sent out the rules for people to read and play the game blindly just based off the rules, and then give feedback on how clear the rules were, because I think the rules could have been clearer for sure. You missed the name of the game you worked on for Ravensburger. Ads are annoying. Oh, on YouTube, the ads. Oh, sorry. Ads on YouTube are annoying. Honestly, get an ad blocker. Or get a VPN and say you're in China. That's what I'm currently doing. Have you ever worked on a trading card game? No, I have not. And I haven't played them a ton, so I feel like I don't know. I feel like I don't know that genre well enough that I could design something in that space to bring something new. So I would have to play them more before I would consider designing my own. And I don't know if I super love the culture of kind of, forcing people to buy more packs to get cards to play the game. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know. It's something to think about. Sorry, I'm a little behind on comments. Thanks so much, everyone, for being so chatty tonight. I appreciate it. Okay, so Damien designs mostly on their own, but I have lots of family who I get good ideas and feedback from. Yeah, that's the thing. I see my playtesters and family friends as kind of my collaborate, 100% as my collaborators. So no, I don't really have co-designers, but I have collaborators. Those are all the playtesters that I work with, but especially my friends and family who I playtest the majority of my games with repeatedly. So yeah, that is how I look at it as well, Damien. And Mike designs alone so far, but would take on a partner depending on the game. Yeah, especially if it's a game with that's a lot of work and a lot of research. If you can have two brains working on it at once, that could be very helpful as long as both people are putting in the same amount of effort. Yeah, I got you, Justin. Curve Gut designs alone, mostly because I live in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, that can also be. Yeah, if your partner or someone that your roommate or someone you live with doesn't want to co-design with you, it can be tough. I know a lot of married couples or couples design games together because it's just convenient. Well, I'm sure because they're interested in it and they enjoy it, but also it's just convenient that your co-designer is literally there all the time. You have all of your supplies out all the time, and so it's just a lot more convenient if you can co-design with a person who lives with you. Because then if you're you live in the middle of nowhere, that's very difficult to play test with other people and co-design. So you would have to do a lot of stuff online, which is possible. It's a lot more possible now than it has ever been, which is really cool with Tabletopia, Tabletop Simulator, and so on. But yeah, it can be a lot of coordinating and trying to do everything online for sure. I have a small online community that I can play test if I send prototypes. Yeah, perfect. There you go. Yeah, I got you, Justin. The ads always. I'm so over ads on YouTube, like for real, and it's just so stupid. I have a I have a channel. I put content on YouTube every week, stream twice a week, put up an edited video once a week, have 8,000 subscribers, and they can't give me a premium subscription? Oh my goodness. So stupid. So even the people who have like 1 million subscribers don't get a free premium subscription from YouTube. Like, make that make sense. My goodness. And the ads on YouTube are just getting so annoying. And there's so many of them. Mike has YouTube Premium. You're smart. I honestly am thinking about it because I watch YouTube more than like other platforms. I don't have any streaming platforms anymore. I got rid of everything. So I watched YouTube and I just, like I said, I use a VPN and say that I'm in China. That's been working mostly. But yeah, I should probably just the idea of paying YouTube a monthly subscription while I'm basically working for them, stupid. Yeah, I know, Luke. Yeah. I just don't want to I don't want to dox people. If they don't want me to say their name, then I try not to say their name. Like, I know actor's name, but I say actor because I don't know if they want me to say their name. I'm sure it's fine. But, okay. Sorry, Twitch, I have been neglecting you over here. How strongly protected are game mechanics like that? Game mechanics are not protected. Yeah. It's just the rules, like literally the written rules and art are copyright protected. Game mechanics have proven in court to not be copyright protected. So a game, I think there was some lawsuit, it was with the game Bang. Another game came out that was identical to it, but just had a different theme on top. And they actually went to court about it, and ultimately it decided that you can't copyright the rules of a game, the mechanics of a game. You can copyright the expression of the rules, meaning the written words and the art, but not the game mechanics itself. So, yeah. I know that, people bring up how tapping was patented back in the day. That patent has since expired. That is a very rare case of a very specific mechanic being patented, but in general, game mechanics are not copyrighted or patented. Well, I guess I'll show you my face again instead of staring at the Falcon website, because we're just chit-chatting now. La 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 la. I've got too much imposter syndrome to work with a partner. There'd be way too much stress that I'm not bringing enough to the table. Oh, I get that, Nep. Yeah. I totally get that. 100%. But I'm sure that you would bring a lot more than you realize or that you're giving yourself credit for. Even just being someone to bounce ideas off of, someone would appreciate, But I could feel like if that's going to add another layer of anxiety around designing games, then I don't know if it's worth it. But it could be cool to try and just see. And then you might find that just having those discussions, ideas come to you naturally. And the more that you do it, the more confident you get with it. And then also if you try to co-design with someone who maybe is also kind of new to it, so you feel like you're kind of both learning at the same time. But I totally get the imposter syndrome. That happens to most people, for sure. Sweetcroft is a solo designer as well, but I do chat with my game group a lot about what I'm working on. Probably too much. They support my crazy ideas. That's awesome. Yeah, that's mainly my vibe as well. Solo designer, but I talk with my game design group, friends and family all the time about board games. In like my WhatsApp groups, a lot of times the messages I send are, "Hey guys, I have a new idea. Can we tell me what you think about this?" Or, "Do you have some time this week to quickly try this out and see if it works?" I try not to bother my friends and family too much with that stuff, but it does happen a lot. Okay, I'm just gonna wrap up. I'm just gonna catch up on Twitch before going back to YouTube. But thanks so much for all the chatting. I really appreciate it. So I'm not just sitting here like, The other thing that I wanted to talk about in the subject line was some pitching opportunities coming up, which we will talk about. And also just FallCon, I wanted to talk about the games I'm going to be playing. You're good with actors. Sweet. There you go. Yeah, so I just assume that people are okay with that. Tony, who goes by IB Jeeper, explicitly said he's okay with me saying Tony. So him, I'll say Tony, but everyone else, I'll just assume. I'll just go by their username. The other features of Premium are neat. Background play on mobile. Ooh, that is nice, actually, because that's so annoying when you navigate away from YouTube on the phone and it closes. I actually did not realize that was a feature for Premium. I guess I'm caught up on Twitch on this one, so I can look over here. That is good to know. Thank you. And then building playlists. That should be free. Yes, agree. Okay, back over to YouTube. Jumping topics. I found out about you listening to Gabe Barrett's podcast. I love it. Yes, is a great. If you haven't listened to the Board Game Design Lab podcast, which is also a YouTube channel run by Gabe Barrett, he has interviewed so many designers about so many different topics, and I definitely recommend checking it out. So that's cool that you found me through Gabe. That's awesome. And Gabe actually he publishes games as well. He designs and publishes. And he publishes a different game every single month, which is insane. And they're all solo games. And so if I do continue with Maud, Matilda, whatever, being just solo, then I might consider possibly throwing it out to Gabe. But I think I need to start making a list of publishers that could possibly be interested in this game. But he does exclusively solo game publishing, which is cool. But last night at the playtest, they were all like, for marketability, you might want to make it, 1 to 4, 1 to 3, whatever. I was like, yeah, maybe. But anyway, you say, how'd you get in touch with him? Wanted to get his feedback on my game a while back, but never heard back. He reached out to me before I knew about Board Game Design Lab. So I guess somehow he found my YouTube channel and he reached out to me, emailed me asking if I wanted to be on his show. And then I was, and there you go. Also, I saved your episode from his podcast. I promised to try some of the games you suggested in the near future. Oh, yeah, because we talk about... we each made our own list of games we think designers should play because they would teach you different mechanics or different aspects of game design. And so that was fun. We each secretly made our list and then we presented them to each other. And that was a really fun conversation for sure. Yeah, let me know if you try any of those in the future for sure. The textual expression is subject to copyright, but not the rule concepts. Yeah, you got it, Mike. Spoiler alert, I will be interviewing Zachary Strebeck, who is a lawyer who works in the board game and video game space. And I'm just telling you, chat, I'm just telling you. But it's going to be a surprise for everyone else. But I'm going to interview him in like a week and a half, and that'll go up in a couple weeks. And we're going to go over... primarily, we're going to be talking about contracts. I might ask him about copyright too, just because I get asked that a lot about copywriting board game concepts. Patents can be very complicated to get, so I think most designers don't bother with it. Yeah, and expensive, I'm pretty sure. Especially for board game designers like who basically make nothing. Even if it's $200, that's expensive. That's a cost, and for really no purpose, in my opinion. I don't think it's worth the cost, whatever it might be. Oh, there you go. Curve Cut also says it's expensive to protect a patent. Yeah. Oh, expensive to protect a patent. So expensive to register a patent, but then also protect a patent. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. I tried rubbing in my art school friends, but they are wildly uninterested. Oh, I'm sorry about that. At least you tried, and maybe they might come around one day. Hey, Travis is here. Woohoo! Happy Friday. Yeah. We made it. Okay, Luke is a semi-public figure, so you're cool with your name being out there. All right. There you go. Luke of Curve Cut Games. I feel like I need to play more solo games. I have no idea how I'd even start designing one. Yeah, to be honest, me too. Like, I have played Stardew Valley solo, and I attempted Earth, but I had never played it before, and I just got overwhelmed by the rules, and so I gave up. So to be honest, I've only played Stardew Valley solo board game. So I'm not a huge solo board game player either. But I feel like designing a solo game is not, well, so far it hasn't been incredibly unintuitive or challenging. It's actually come together fairly well. And I think it's been really, really nice to playtest repeatedly over and over and over because it's just me. I don't need to simulate other players. I don't need to invite other players to play it. I just play it over and over and over. I've been really enjoying that. I can just grind through a bunch of playtests on my own. So I'm like, man, am I just going to be a solo game designer from here on? Because just solo games and party games. That makes sense, right? That's how you found my channel? Sweet. That's awesome. Yeah, it's always interesting to see how people found my channel. And yeah, I think going on other channels and chatting with people on other YouTube channels is probably a good way to introduce myself to different audiences and stuff. Yeah. Oh, Hans and Gluck sue people? They haven't sued me for my video about them yet. I kind of half expected to get a cease and desist letter in the mail. But didn't happen. Hasn't happened yet. Maybe they're still drafting it. Yeah, Louis, I think and we haven't had the interview yet, but I'm excited about it. Yeah. Maybe I'll ask you all what you think we should talk about, because I was thinking about maybe just focusing on reviewing a contract and just having, like, me and Zach literally go line by line over a contract, like a template from a board game licensing agreement, and really explaining a lot of the legalese that can be difficult to understand when you're reading these contracts and the different things included in most board game design contracts or board game publishing contracts. That's kind of what I'm thinking about really focusing on that. Because I was thinking about asking maybe like the top 5 legal questions I get asked. Can a board game be copyrighted? Should I patent my game? And then also questions about contracts. Should I trademark? The difference between trademark, copyright, patent, those types of things. Like I could maybe ask him the top 5 questions related to legal issues I get asked and see what he says. Or we could really focus about just reviewing a contract. Because that's how I met Zach. When I got a contract from Hasbro for my first published game with them almost 10 years ago now, I just Googled board game lawyer and his name popped up. And so I worked with him to review my contract with Hasbro. And he was very, very helpful. He helped make sense out of all of this legal language I did not understand. I didn't know if the terms were standard. I didn't know what percentages to expect. And so he was very helpful with that. So that's kind of why I might want to focus on just reviewing the contract with him for the video. But what do you think? Do you think we should focus on the contract or go over like the top 5 most common questions I get from a legal perspective? Let me know what you think. Yeah, way easier to playtest, Travis, for sure. You've had some new ideas lately too, I think. How has designing your new ideas been going, and how has your grocery store game been going? Point City and Galaxy have great little solo modes and are inexpensive and small. Yeah, nice. Yeah, the Point City, Point Salad games I enjoy very much. There's a lot of game in a small package, which is always very, very cool, and just I appreciate, like, that's just if you're able to have a really cool game in just like a few cards. I mean, it's like it is quite a few cards, but it's mainly just cards. That's a pretty cool feat. Design challenge. You discovered me because of the Meeple drama video, Mike? Yeah, let me know what video you all found my channel from. That'd be interesting. Or if you found me some other way. That'd be cool to know. Terraforming Mars? Ares Expedition? Is that the TM, Luke? An amazing solo game? Yeah, people are suggesting a bunch of solo games to me, which I really, really appreciate. Legacy of You was one. There was one last night that someone suggested. A Few Acres of Snow. I don't know if anyone has heard of that one. Yeah, I'm asking for feedback now. Yeah, let me know. So I'd say top 5 questions. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. A lot of good solo games by Jason Glover. Yeah, absolutely. I just got, well, it's been a month or so now. I got Dust Runner and Dust Runners by Jason Glover through the Game Crafter. I have not played them yet, but I do have them. And so those will be my next solo games that I'll play. Okay, that was Terraforming Mars you're talking about. Okay, cool. I'll write that down as well. So Terraforming Mars, Ares Expedition. Let me write that down here. I really need to make a list. Okay. Terraforming Mars, Ares Expedition. I also want to play Robinson Crusoe solo. My sister has my copy of Robinson Crusoe right now, though, so I can't. But once I get that back, I will. Solo game. Okay, sweet. Thank you for that. Okay. A Few Acres of Snow is not solo. Oh, so maybe they were just suggesting it because they just felt like the game had a similar vibe to my game. It's an interesting historical game. Okay, gotcha. Okay, sorry, Twitch. Aye. So it's like joke stealing in comedy. Sometimes it's parallel thinking, but if you get a reputation, it hurts you in the industry. Yeah, for sure. Like, and then there's also counterfeit board games that are literally, they look exactly like a game, but they're sold on Temu. Like, that's not legal. You can't do that. But if you like take the mechanics of a game, but then you add your own art and you write the rules yourself. But it's the same rules, but you write them in your own style. There's nothing technically wrong with that, but yeah, you would get a pretty bad reputation in the industry if you did that. So it's more about reputation and community and like being like making games in good faith and not ripping people off. But it is a fine line, because it's like everyone takes inspiration from other games. In my current game, I've taken inspiration from Ark Nova, from Pandemic, from Everdell. I'm I'm sure there's a bunch of others. But, you know, taking inspiration and then creating something new out of those inspirations, that's totally cool. But just taking all the mechanics of a game, not changing anything, not adding anything, and just retheming it, not cool. Not cool, not cool, not cool. Do not do that. It's not illegal, but it's not cool. And yeah, if you get a reputation for that, and especially if you pitch it to a publisher and maybe they don't know it's a ripoff of another game and they end up publishing it and then they get backlash for that, they will be not happy with you. No, 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 no. So yeah, it's very similar to that. But yeah, there is, like you mentioned there is always a possibility of multiple people having the same idea at the same time, like how the game The Anarchy came out this year based on the same thing that I'm designing my game about. They're completely different mechanically, but the same people can have the same ideas for themes or mechanics at the same time, and that's just because they just happen to have those same ideas, and they're on the other sides of the world. You know, that happened with scientific discoveries. It happens with board games. It happens with lots of stuff. So if it's not on purpose, like, that's totally fine. But you can tell if a game has been ripped off by another game if it's identical gameplay wise. You know. Okay, then actors saying they always feel like board games are best when they involve other people. If played solo games, I'd still involve other people to decide things with me. Yeah, well, that's the thing about solo games, you know. You can make them co-op very easily. You just play the solo game with someone else, and now it's a co-op. One person last night had a really interesting idea, because right now I'm saying that you play as Maud, and you also control her husband Jeffrey's pawn. But someone was like, you know, what if it's a 2-player game? One person plays as Maud and one person plays as Jeffrey. And I was just like, yeah, we don't like Jeffrey. At least from the book that I'm reading, he is not a nice guy. He is a necessity. He is not a great ally. But they were like, okay, you could maybe lean into that. And so, yes, it's co-op, but the person who plays as Jeffrey is like an unreliable ally, and maybe they have a secret goal. Maybe they don't want Maud to succeed, but they can't let her know. Or, like, I don't know. That's something to think about, I guess. But right now, I'm just going to focus on the solo aspect of it. I'm still very new to playing solo games, but that one time I played Stardew Valley on my own, I had a great time. And I really enjoy playing video games, and you do those solo as well. So, Louis found my channel through the video about the meeples. Okay, yeah, I think not most, but a lot of people found my channel through the Meeplegate video. Yeah. So that's good to know. I recommend Vantage as a solo experience. I'm a little obsessed right now. Cool. Yeah, I know Vantage is very hot right now. And a lot of solo gamers especially are enjoying it. I can see that game possibly being even better solo rather than with a group of people. I don't know. I'm just going off of what people are saying. But I think that, because it is kind of, from what I tell, it has the feel of a video game, of like an exploration adventure video game. And if you're playing with other people, you can't see what they're doing. They're kind of doing their own thing. And so I think, yeah, from what I see, it could still be really, really cool with a group of people, but it might shine even more as a solo game. How do you feel about that interpretation, Nep? Louis works in the legal space and studying law in New Zealand. Oh, cool. So Louis, do you think should I focus on reviewing a contract line by line, or should I do like the top 5 most asked legal questions? What do you think? Also, if anyone else wants to chime in about that, let me know, because I'm going to be sending Zach my questions on Monday. So, Vantage, you want to play with people. Okay. Okay, the contract sounds really helpful for first-time designers. Yes, like going through the contract line by line. Yes, that would be, I agree. Well, both things would be going over the top 5 most asked questions and going over the contract. I think they would both be helpful. I don't know. Okay, I can't remember how I found Pam. I think random YouTube search. Oh, nice. That is really cool to know. Meeplegate, yup. Ares Expedition better than the base game. Okay. Stephen and Madeline. Bloob party. Love it. There's so many games that are like blob party, penguin party, block party, blob party, brick party. Video games are also better if you play with other people. Interesting. All right. I also highly recommend Unsettled for solo gamers. Though again, much better with more players. Is that a board game or a video game? Unsettled? I haven't heard of that. I don't think. It sounds kind of familiar. Where's my pen? Unsettled. Okie dokie. Sorry, YouTube. I'll get there in 1 second. I'm almost caught up on Twitch here. I appreciate all of the comments tonight. Thanks for being so chatty. Kingdom Death Monster is the only game I played solo. Okay. I expect most people would find the top 5 questions more appealing. I don't want to say what is better for them. Yeah. Ooh, it's a tough one, isn't it? Go more general or go specific? I guess for me, if I think about if it was me at the very start about getting serious about board game design, I would want the 5 questions. If I was pitching and possibly getting a contract, or if I had gotten a contract, then I would want the contract review one. So that's a very specific situation. So I think it would appeal, yeah, like you're saying, it would appeal to more people to have a more general top 5 legal questions. Oh, that would be a good title, actually. Top 5 legal questions for board game designers or something like that. Should probably write that down somewhere. I don't know if that's the right wording for it, but something like that. Top 5 legal questions for board game designers, something like that. Yeah, that would probably appeal to more people. Okie dokie, YouTube. Do. Oh yeah, Travis made some changes to the grocery store game. Just need to get back to playtesting to see if the new mechanics work. Exciting. The new game is taking shape though. Lots of components though. Okay. Are you making all the components yourself or are you outsourcing them? Get the version with the double layer boards. It's worth it. The Terraforming Mars one. Yeah, so the cubes don't all shift around if you happen to knock the table. There are 4 tabletop games on the 12th Century, the Anarchy, plus a war game expansion called the Anarchy for the war game Ager Sanguinis. Yes, I am aware now of multiple tabletop games based on this exact moment in history. But thank you. Yes, it is good information to have. It is. But I don't think any of the current ones are solo. Yeah, the latest one and the most popular one called The Anarchy that just came out this year, it is 1 to 4, I believe. So it's not exclusively solo, but apparently it does play very well solo. Which latest one is solo, Mike? Okay, I played games where there's a mechanic I really like, but I've thought of a better way to implement it. I don't want to copy, so I need to try my best to tweak it enough so it's not copying. Yeah, that's totally fair. Like if you play a game and you're like, I really like this, but I think I can make it better by changing some things. Like that's great. Just you need to make sure you actually change some things. Maybe cover the top 5 things in your opinion and a quick Q&A part for the top 5 questions. Maybe cover the top 5 things in your opinion and then a quick Q&A part for the top 5 questions. I don't know if I'm quite understanding the difference between the top 5 things and the top 5 questions. That would be, if they're 2 different things? I'm not sure I'm quite understanding that. I like the line by line idea for the contracts, points out the different rights options, royalty things, who's allowed to make expansions, even where the designer's name goes on the box. Yeah, and there's just a lot of legalese, like just the legal language in contracts. It would be nice to have a lawyer translate that, you know? That could be cool. Luke says, I find even if you start out very inspired by a game, when you start developing your game, it can move pretty far from the original idea. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Even more when you start playtesting. Yeah, 100%. 100%, Luke. You got it. The 2025 one has 1 to 3, best with 1, as rated on BGG. 1 to 3. Let's see that. Interesting. I thought it was 1 to 4. Best as solo. Here, I'll share my screen here. Yeah, it's 1 to 4. It's 1 to 4. But yeah, the community says 1 to 3. So maybe it's technically 1 to 4, but the community says 4 players is too much. Best with 1. Yeah, that is good information to have, that if it's viewed more as a solo game, then my angle of my game being solo might not differentiate it enough. So that is good information for sure. Okay. Okay, like what you think is important to know in regard to the contract, but also address the top 5 questions. Okay, gotcha. So kind of do both. That's definitely a good idea. I feel like the video might be very long, and my last one was an hour accidentally. Didn't feel like an hour, but then I finished it. I was like, oh my gosh, we talked for an hour. But that is a good idea to maybe try and do both, or maybe one of the top 5 questions could be about contracts. Like what are some of the top things that designers don't understand in contracts, or something like that. That's a good idea. Try and do both. Okay, Twitch, I'm back over to you here. So Vantage is fun solo and co-op, but feels different each way. Solo is more contemplative and focused on personal narrative, while co-op is more objective focused. At least that's been my experience. Got my first epic victory in co-op today, but it was probably the least satisfying story of any time I've played. Interesting. Yeah, there's so many different like elements in that game and paths you can go down and stuff. So I'm sure it's such a different experience every single time you play it, especially with other people who are doing different things each game. No game would ever be the same, which is really cool. It's hard to find good info on contracts, to be honest. Only Stonemaier seems open about it, and I have a feeling they're far more generous than most. Yeah, you mean like as far as advances go and stuff like that? Yeah. Yeah, I found it very difficult to just find a template that we could go over. I found one with the like the designer association in Europe called SAS, S-A-Z. They have a contract template there, and that's literally the only one I could find online. Like no publisher shares their their contracts or their terms online. Yeah, Stonemaier, they do share their typical advance. Yeah, it's like 10,000, and that's the highest I've ever heard of any publisher giving out. And I haven't heard of any publisher ever saying, publicly sharing their the advance that they offer for their contracts. Unsettled is a planet exploration board game. Okay, gotcha. Different advantage. Played the Anarchy on the weekend, in fact. Oh, what'd you think about it? The theme doesn't really shine through. Yeah, if you took away the Maud Stevens story, it would play the same. That is kind of what I got just from the comments on BGG about it and the videos that I watched about it, that mechanically it's very cool. Like, there's a lot going on, and people really like the decisions and the combos and chaining things. But all the comments on BGG are about the mechanics. There's not a single comment on there about the theme. And so that made me feel a lot better, because for me, I really like games that have a theme to be very immersive and to not feel like the theme is tacked on. So I'm very glad to hear that you feel that way too. So thank you for sharing that. Okay, I need to just quickly take a break. I need to stand up and move around a little bit. So let's just take a quick break here. And I'm going to try this thing where on Twitch, I'm going to put an ad on while I'm taking a break, so you're not going to miss anything. Sorry, YouTube, I guess I could maybe look into if I can time this for YouTube as well. I don't know if I can. But I'm going to put an ad on Twitch just because I won't be talking or doing anything interesting. You're not going to miss anything. But I just need to go get some water and just move around and take a quick break. And then we'll be back to chat some more, okay? Okay, so let's see how I do this. Okay, I'll see you in a couple minutes. Okie dokie. Subs don't get ads. Yay! Also, let me know if I sound like a chipmunk. Sometimes this mic randomly does that when I turn it on and off. Cool. Yeah. Nothing wrong with long videos if the interviewee is up for it. Yeah. Like I really enjoyed that conversation with Chris Baki, and I enjoyed it so much I didn't even realize an hour had passed. So hopefully other people enjoyed it as well. And yeah, you can watch it on 2x speed, and then it's only 30 minutes. There you go. Look at the weight of it's super high. It's almost 4 out of 5 for weight, the Anarchy is. And mine would definitely be way lower than that. An advance should be an absolute must for every designer. Every designer. And it's so annoying when publishers don't offer an advance and you have to ask for one. It should be standard. And it should be significant, in my humble opinion, to every single designer. The Anarchy 2025 is Steven focus, while Mod Becoming an Empress is Mod focus. Yes, exactly. Becoming an Empress, that's funny. Yes, exactly. I was very happy to see that the Anarchy is focused on Steven. So that makes me want to make Mod, Matilda, Empress, whatever, even more. Yeah, thanks so much, Justin. Thanks for chatting and hanging out. Mike's starting a sing-along in YouTube chat. I love it. Okay. Gonna catch up on Twitch. I don't know how Jamie Stegmeyer handles going through so many comments on his weekly streams on Facebook and YouTube. I have significantly fewer people, and it's a lot to keep up with. I mean, I should probably ideally I would be looking here because all of them are on here, but it doesn't go high back enough, so I'm missing things. So I'm still going on the second monitor anyway. But at least for you, are you enjoying seeing the chat up on the screen? Especially if you're watching on YouTube, it's nice to see what people are saying on Twitch and vice versa. The reason I put it one on top of the other like this is because I have a bunch of overlays over here for the co-working stream. Otherwise, I would put one long one for YouTube on one side and one long one for Twitch on the other side, and then you can actually see a lot more of the chat. But then that would mess up, when I do my co-working streams and I have a bunch of stuff over here. So this is the only available space. So that's why I did 1 and 1. But if I was faster, I could keep up with this chat. But that's all right. I'll just go to the second monitor, and hopefully you're enjoying seeing both chats there for you. Alrighty. You really liked it. You also like Hadrian's Wall a lot. Yeah. So to be honest, this is my first time hearing about Hadrian's Wall. This company, here, I'll show you this. So this publisher, Garfield Games, they did, what was the one that they did that I had heard of? The Architects of the West Kingdom, I've heard of that. Paladins of the West Kingdom, Raiders of the North Sea. I think there was another one. Architects. Whoa. Oh, they did Legacy of You. Oh. Okay. Explorers of the North Sea. There's Hadrian's Wall. Hadrian's Wall. I don't know what this is about at all. Let's see. When visiting the north of Britannia in 122 AD, the Roman Emperor Hadrian Augustus witnessed the aftermath of war between his armies and the savage Picts. In a show of Roman might, he ordered a wall to be built that would separate the Pict tribes from the rest of England. Grand in its design, the wall stretched 80 Roman miles from coast to coast. Hadrian's Wall stood in service to the Roman Empire for nearly 300 years before its eventual decline. Today, Hadrian's Wall is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and the remains of the forts, towers, and turrets can still be explored. That's cool. So in Hadrian's Wall, players take on the role of a Roman general placed in charge of the construction of a mile castle and bordering wall. Over 6 years or rounds, players will construct their fort and wall, man the defenses, and attract civilians by building services and providing entertainment, all while defending the honor of the Roman Empire from the warring Picts. The player who can accumulate the most renown, piety, valor, and discipline whilst avoiding disdain. And that I noticed in the anarchy one, you're avoiding contempt, will prove to the emperor they are the model Roman citizen and be crowned legatus legionis. Cool. Yeah, I'm really getting into historical fiction like as a genre for reading. And so I think I would like to really explore more historical board games as well. This seems really cool. Did an ad play for anyone on Twitch? Because that was my first time doing that, so maybe I did it wrong. I don't know. You've been playing Bebop on BGA recently, and I think I don't like it. It seems completely abstract. The theme means nothing, and there's like 0 player interaction so far. All right. A simple question should be, what do you consider the absolute minimum acceptable contract? What do you consider the absolute minimum acceptable contract? That's an interesting question. Yeah. Garfield tend to do very good games. Really enjoyed. Oh, sorry, the chat keeps jumping. Raiders of Scythia, interesting worker placement twist. It's essentially the same game. Okay, Sweet Cross. So the Anarchy and Hadrian's Wall are very similar. I mean, technically, all of Garfield's main games are the same game with slight changes. Interesting. You saw a Red Bull snail. Okay, so you did see an ad. Okay, so that's good. Alrighty. Okay, it's cool for you to see what everyone's saying. Okay, good. Yeah. I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad that those are working. I think that's really nice for YouTube and Twitch to see what's going on. No, I don't know that song, Mike. Which one is that? Jamie probably has a mod that points out important chats he has missed. Do you think so? I don't think so. I think he does it all himself. But I know he uses another program called Restream, I think. Like when I was on his channel, I think it was something. I don't know if it was Restream. And so I do think he can see all the chat in one place, like combined. So I don't think he has multiple windows to look at. So I think that does help. And it helps you calculate the lag. Yeah. Because the Twitch chat is more up to date than the YouTube chat. Hadrian's Wall is a great historical roll and write. Oh, really? Roll and write, eh? Roll and write, you say? Let's look at the mechanisms here. The mechanisms. Hand management, paper and pencil, solo. Okay, so it's again it says 1 to 6, best with 1. Tech trees. Tech trees. During the course of the game, new actions become available to specific players or existing actions are improved. These are often themed as technologies, but do not need to be. Sometimes this is expressed as a tree, where gaining one tech unlocks multiple other techs, or it can be a track, where advancing along the track unlocks upgraded or new actions. Like Saltfjord, eh? Brass, Birmingham, Twilight, Gaia, Brass, Scythe. Scythe? There's tech tracks in Scythe? I only played it once. I don't remember a tech track. I remember these player boards where the action you can't do the same action you did last time. Anyway, go back. I got distracted. So it's a roll and write hand management tech trees solo. It's not a ton of mechanics there. And it's what, 3 over 3 out of 5. Let's see what this game looks like here. Yeah, there's a lot going on. That's cool. I love the art for the Garfield games. Hadrian's Wall is on your shelf of opportunity, Luke. Shelf of opportunity. Open on the run. Thank you. I don't know if I would have. Yeah. I don't know. All I know from that song is Band on the Run. I don't know the rest of it. Alrighty. Okay, before I forget, I know in the title of this stream I said that we would talk about pitching opportunities, and so I don't want to forget to mention those. So if you get my newsletter, you're already going to know this, but in case you don't, Pegasus Spiel, the publisher of Micro Macro, Bomb Busters, Civilization, they are having another designer day. So this is an online pitching opportunity. And so you can submit up to, here, let me just show you. Let me show you. Spiel designer days. They're at the end of September. The deadline is September 7th. Here, I'll show you this. Okay. September 24th to 26th. You get 10 minutes. So you don't have a lot of time. You have 10 minutes. You can submit up to 2 game ideas. They're not accepting expert or children's games. So by expert, I guess like heavy strategy games or children's games. So, but if it's medium or lightweight games, then it's okay. It would be cool if they gave it just a bit more information of the types of games they're looking for, but at least that's something. Deadline is September 7th. So, and I believe applying does not guarantee you an appointment. So apply, but it's not a guarantee that you'll get to pitch. I don't think. Pretty sure. So yeah, this is a really, really great opportunity. So if you have a game ready to pitch, or even if you're not 100% confident that is pitch ready, if you feel like it's close enough, I would still throw your hat in the ring and see how it goes. So this is a really, really great opportunity. So September 7th is going to come up quick. So definitely apply for that if that interests you. The other one is there are going to be some pretty big publishers at Protospiel Chicago coming up in September 12th to 14th. And Mike Mulvihill of Ravensburger was just announced that he will be there. So actually, do they have this on there? Okay, Gray Matter Games will also be there. Okay, Ravensburger, here you go. So they are looking for kids games, party games, family games, 2-player games, and then line extensions for their games like Horrified and things like that. So this is a great opportunity to pitch directly to Ravensburger. If you're going to Protospiel Chicago, or if you live near Chicago, it looks like you can still get a badge. Great opportunity to pitch directly to Mike of Ravensburger, who is super, super nice and would give you feedback one way or another. Gray Matter Games, I don't know them so much. Let's check them out. Okay. So it seems like more party games. The Donut Challenge. Okay, so more party games. Alrighty, so that's good. You got someone looking for strategy games and party games, but also just party games. I guess they say it here: family and adult party games. Cool. And who else? Amigo games. They're looking for card games with family level complexity, simple rules, and as few side pieces as necessary. No plastics. Let's see. Amigo. Don't know if I know any of these. Okay. Maybe I know some more of their family games. I definitely recognize their logo. But off the top of my head, I can't think of games that they've done. Oh, Bonanza? Okay. So they did Bonanza. I guess that's where I've seen their logo. Oh, and No Thanks. Know that one. Okay. Cool. So yeah, there's a couple opportunities there to pitch, which so if you have games that you think could fit there, definitely throw your hat in the ring. The other thing I wanted to mention, just because we're talking about pitching, I also mentioned this in my newsletter, that Hasbro, their Spark platform that I have talked about before, is I don't want your cookies, thank you. Temporarily closed. Spark is temporarily closed while we review how best to support new inventor submissions. We appreciate your interest and will share updates once a reopening date is determined. So someone emailed me about the terms in the fine print of Spark back in January, saying that for games submitted through Spark to Hasbro, if they decide to publish your game, the maximum royalty you could expect is 1.5%, which is crazy low. Like shockingly low. Like exploitively low, if I can be as clear as possible. And also, they would max out paying your royalties at 12 years, which is unheard of. I have never ever heard of that as a thing ever. So if you make a Jenga, you submit it to Hasbro, they're going to pay you 1.5% and only pay you for 12 years. After that, they keep 100%, which is insane. Someone told me about that, and so I reached out to the Tabletop Game Designers Association about it. And to be honest, it took a little bit of convincing for them to take it seriously. But then they eventually did. And then I guess they reached out to Hasbro, and they had conversations with Hasbro about it. And so I'm assuming that's where this is coming from. I really hope that they will update those terms, because that's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And the thing is, if you pitch to Hasbro directly, like I did back in 2016, you get much more favorable terms than 1.5% and a 12-year cap. So it's just taking advantage of designers who don't have direct access to Hasbro. They have to submit their games through Spark, and then they get those ridiculous terms. So hopefully, I have no idea why they would have terms for their online submission and different terms for if you pitch to them in person. They should be the same. I don't know why they're different. But if you want to pitch to Hasbro, do not pitch through Spark. Like, unless they change their terms, which I have a feeling they won't, they still won't be as good of terms than as pitching to them directly. If you want to pitch to Hasbro, do not pitch through Spark. Pitch to them at pitching events like Mojo, which just happened, unfortunately, but you can, prepare for next year. Mojo Pitch is both online and in person, and you can pitch to companies like Hasbro, Mattel, Spin Master, all these mass market companies. If you have a game that you think fits well with that, pitch to them through events like Mojo Pitch. Their website takes forever to load. It's just loading right now. Okay, this is Mojo Pitch. It just happened. So they have an in-person one and they also have a virtual one. You do have to pay for it, but you get access to all of these publishers. And there's Hasbro. So if you pitch to Hasbro at an event like this, you'll get favorable terms. If you pitch through Spark, you will not. So that was just an interesting development that happened this week, that they temporarily closed this. I have not heard from the TTGDA if it's related to their conversations with them about it, but that's just something I thought I would mention because it was a development that happened this week. Okay. Yeah, take them down. Yeah, it's just frustrating when a company that makes billions of dollars try to exploit indie game designers. Like, it rubs me the wrong way. I don't like it at all. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Okay, sorry Twitch, I'm gonna try to catch up here. Are replays posted for these streams? Yes, on YouTube, and I also try to do them on Twitch, but Twitch, they have a cap for storage, so I have to delete old videos to save newer videos, and so I try to do that, but sometimes I forget, and then also it means that older videos do get deleted. But all my streams are saved on YouTube after the fact. I assume by applying, you're submitting a game for them to check over before they invite you to directly pitch it. Yeah. But then if it gets picked up and it was submitted through Spark, those are the terms that you would get. Oh, sorry, you're talking about Pegasus Spiel. I assume by applying, you're submitting a game for them to check over before they... Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And you can submit up to 2 to Pegasus. Correct. That is correct. Ravensburger asking for submissions with unique theme and mechanics seems to be asking a bit much. Monster Expedition and Carnival of Monsters are great. Most of those are Trick Diggers. Bonanza, Dahlia is a must buy, even if you already have Bonanza. Okay. Oh, and you can backtrack on YouTube. Oh yeah, you can't rewind on Twitch, which is silly. But you can on YouTube, which is nice. Okay, so it looks like I caught up there. Okay, one other thing I wanted to talk about that I almost forgot about is on my Discord, someone posted today about hooks. About like they're struggling with trying to figure out the hook of their game, and they're struggling with what even is a hook. And so I thought we would talk a little bit about that tonight. So for me, a hook is like the one sentence that people will get the game. They'll be like the hook, you're like, the one sentence that will interest someone enough to want to actually play the game. So it's not a whole explanation about the rules and how to play. And you're definitely not saying what you think is the best part of it. It's not like, this game is really fun and unique because blah, blah, blah. You are just saying, this is a game. I'll do Just One, for example. Just One is a cooperative party game where everyone's trying to get their teammate to guess a word. But if they write down a clue that someone else wrote down, they can't show it. Period. That's it. And you say that to people and they're like, oh. Or like Ito, which I haven't played yet, but I give a very short explanation of it. And my family that I was explaining it to, they're like, ooh. So Ito, as far as I understand, it's a party game where uh, I can't remember exactly. It's been a minute, but where you're trying to get people to guess. Oh, I can't remember. But anyway, it's the same sort of idea where it's a very short sentence that will make people go ooh and want to play the game. Essentially, to break it down to its most simplest form, you're trying to like entice people to want to learn more. So you're not explaining exactly how to play the game. You're just getting to the core of what is the most fun aspect of the game, what's the most interesting, unique, different part of the game. But don't say the game is fun and unique because blah, blah, blah. Just tell them what is the core, most interesting part of the game, and then they will decide if they think it's fun and unique. That a lot of designers do that. They'll be like, I designed a really fun, unique game, and this you do this, this, and that. Publishers want to make up their own minds. They want to just hear how the game plays, and they'll decide if they think that sounds fun, or if they think it's unique, or if they think it's different. So trying to figure out what the hook of the game is, it's essentially like the tagline of the game, like a little bit more expanded tagline of the game, of the core of what is the most interesting part of the game that will get people to want to learn more. That's essentially it. Oh, you missed a bunch of things you were hoping to hear because my daughter found ants, and because we don't have a proper infestation, it was quite a job trying to find where they're coming from. Oh boy, that's not fun. That's not fun. But yeah, rewind and then listen at 2x speed. That's what I do when I miss something on a stream. March of the Ants is a great game. Nice. Your evolution hook is the game doesn't stop until it ends, and that is so bad, but I can't think of anything else. Yeah, it is really tough. It's really tough to to come up with and figure out the hook of your game. It's good to ask other playtesters, like, what was the most... This is mainly why I ask people, like, what was your favorite moment in a game? Those, like, little things in games that are memorable, that people really enjoyed, that's usually where the most interesting part of the game is, and that's usually where you can get your hook from. So practice when you're playtesting your games, if you really want to see what your hook is, at the start, like, especially when you go to designer meetups, and at the start, usually people are like, okay, what game did you bring? Like, tell us a little bit about it. Try saying, like, what you think is the hook there, and see people's reactions, see if they're excited to playtest it. And then also, yeah, after you play it, have other playtesters tell you what they think is the most interesting part of the game, and that will usually help you develop what your hook is. But yeah, a lot of publishers, they want a quick get. So like just boiling down the most interesting core fun aspects of your game to a single sentence to get people excited to learn more. Us designers, we can be a bit verbose and like want to share everything about the game, all the rules and all, because we think all of it is great. So getting an objective perspective from playtesters about what they think is the special sauce for the game, that'll help you figure out what your hook is. So John, if you're watching this, I don't think you are. I will share that in the Discord after the stream as well. But I thought I would share it with everyone watching here as well in case that's helpful. Yeah, it's really hard to condense something down into one sentence. It really is. But I do think asking other people to help cut things, because they're not emotionally attached to it, it helps. I agree that playtesting helps get the hook. Unless you started with the hook, you often discover it. Yeah, totally, Morgan. Totally. And sometimes what you think is the hook is not actually what a lot of players think is the hook. So it's definitely good to ask your playtesters what they think is the most exciting or interesting part of the game. because we can get lost in the weeds pretty easily, for sure. Travis says, I like trying to explain my game to people who don't play board games. That's a good idea, yeah. When their eyes start to glaze over, I know I need to punch it up to improve the hook. Absolutely. That is a really great way to think about it. How can you explain your board game to just the average person who doesn't play board games all the time to get them excited to want to play the game and learn more? Yeah, totally. Cool. Yeah, well, I'm glad that I remembered that. And then I think I talked about all the things that I said I would talk about in the subject of the video. It's been 2 hours somehow. Chatting for 2 hours. How is that even possible? Thanks so much, everyone, for being so chatty. That's been great. I've enjoyed this a lot. I mentioned this at the start of the stream that I just did not sleep well last night. I play tested until 11:30 last night. And then I was just thinking about stuff until very early in the morning, could not sleep. And so it's going to be a bit of a shorter stream tonight. I mean, time in Streamland is so weird. Like 2 hours is a long time. But for streams, it's not that long. But I think I might wrap it up for tonight. Thank you all so much for hanging out. That was really, really fun. And I'm glad this chat thing worked. Very exciting. That's a big win. Big win. But yeah, thank you. Thanks Travis and Luke and Mike. Everyone over on YouTube. Justin. Damien. Hopefully I don't miss anyone on YouTube. If you were here earlier, I might miss you. But thank you everyone over on YouTube. And thanks, Louie. Yeah, just a quick 5 levels of escape room gaming. No. No! My brain needs a break. I play tested other designers' games last night. Non-stop with like no break for 3 hours, and then set up my game and talked about my game for half an hour, and just playtesting. The games that we were playing were very complex, and there was a lot going on, and also trying to analyze it, write my feedback down and stuff. My brain is so tired. There's no way. I would be so useless if we played an escape room tonight. It would be all on you just to tell me what to click and what to do. It would be so bad. Yeah, you too, Travis. Thanks so much. Thanks, Justin. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I'll keep an eye out for that. Yeah, I'm trying. No, I'm not escaping from you. No. I have really, really enjoyed chatting with you all tonight. It's been really, really fun. Thank you all so much for hanging out. Louie with the silent S and Sweetcroft, Actor and Morgan. And make sure I don't miss. And Nep, if you're still here. Sweetcraft, I can't remember if I said your name, so I'll just say it again just in case. Okay, sorry if I missed you over on Twitch, but thanks to everyone on Twitch and everyone on YouTube. Y'all are awesome. The polka dot door. Oh my god. The polka dot door. Was that the friendly giant? Polka dot door. Oh no, is that Pokeroo? Pokeroo! Did they always say goodbye to when they said everyone's name? I can't remember. But I remember Pokeroo. Okay, I'm gonna go now. I am gonna make my escape now. Everyone have a great night. Yeah, I think Zach is so awesome too, so the conversation will be fun with the lawyer, Zach. Yeah. Okay, I'm going now. Okay, bye. Bye.